This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery, as well as an option for the same for folks living in the Portland, Oregon area. And easewellness.com is there for hemp-derived CBD products delivered via the U.S. mail in 41 U.S. states. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Wednesday, May 22nd, 2019, and you're tuned in to episode 727 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. In Washington, D.C. yesterday, Congressional Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez addressed the issue of federal housing residents being kicked out of their homes for the use of marijuana. Current federal policy allows for entire families to be evicted from public housing if just one member of the household, or even just a guest, gets into any kind of drug-related trouble. During a hearing yesterday of the Financial Services Committee, Representative Ocasio-Cortez questioned Ben Carson, Secretary of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, about the punitive policies and seemingly secured Carson's support for the idea of reforming the system. Kyle Yeager has a good one on this with more detail and video of Carson's testimony. There are a lot of injustices connected to the war on marijuana and drugs, but this is one of the more unjust and seemingly easy to fix. Shira Schonenberg over at Mass Live has a good piece up about a push in Massachusetts to offer zero-interest loans to prospective cannabis entrepreneurs involved in the state's social equity and economic empowerment program. Massachusetts has been a leader in integrating social justice and equity provisions into their nascent adult use program, but hasn't yet so far set up any kind of funding that social equity applicants can tap. Starting any kind of business takes a lot of capital, so it's important that any good and effective social equity program include a mechanism for applicants to access low or zero interest loans. State lawmakers in Massachusetts will this week consider legislation setting up a fund for loans that would start out at $1 million, which would be matched by private donors. The proposed bill would set aside 10% of future cannabis excise tax revenue to build the fund. This is a really important issue, so maybe not a bad one to dive into fully. Every state needs something like this. Our final top story today is by my buddy Bruce Barcott over at Leafly, looking at a new study published this week in the journal Substance Use and Misuse that found that marijuana arrest rates in Washington state and Colorado were much, much higher for Black people than for white people in the years following legalization. Even as the overall number of arrests for marijuana crimes has dropped, the disparity in arrest rates for Black and white offenders has not. That kind of makes sense logically, as police officers are no less systemically racist now than in pre-legalization days, and you'd expect to see that kind of system pour whatever remaining law enforcement power that it retains over cannabis into the communities that have traditionally borne the worst effects of the war on marijuana. Bruce unpacks a lot of great information and data here, so again, open this one up today. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz it on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery, as well as an option for the same for folks living in the Portland, Oregon area. Pop over to ease.com to check out all the different legal cannabis products up for order there, with deliveries taking place in less than 60 minutes during legal delivery hours. You'll find all kinds of properly tested, packaged, and labeled legal cannabis products over at ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E. There's flower from Old Pal, Humboldt Farms, Classics, and Caliva, concentrates from Guild Extracts, Loud Pack, and Moxie, bath and body care from Mary's Medicinals and Apothecana, and vape cartridges from Bagged Vape Co., State, and Bloom Farms, plus a whole pile of other modalities like edibles, topicals, sprays, and even pet products. Take a minute today and dive into the large selection found over at ease.com. And if you don't live in California or the Portland, Oregon area, you can still see how easy Ease makes legal cannabis delivery through easewellness.com, which puts professionally curated CBD products in your mailbox in just 4 to 6 business days. All right, time for the blitz. A new study just released by the Brightfield Group, a Chicago-based data and analytical firm, projects that the U.S. legal marijuana market will be worth just under $23 billion by 2023, with $16.8 billion of that coming from adult use. The biggest takeaway in the report is their projection that eastern and midwestern states like Illinois, Massachusetts, Michigan, and New Jersey will ascend to the ranks of top cannabis states, grabbing market share from the current leading marijuana states, which are all out west. A study published yesterday in the American Journal of Psychiatry suggests that CBD can reduce the cravings felt by people living with opioid dependencies to use heroin. Researchers at New York City's Mount Sinai Hospital tested the cravings felt by 42 individuals with history of opioid use after they watched either nature videos or those involving drug use. Compared to the group that received a placebo, those who took CBD reported feeling less intense cravings to use after seeing the drug-related videos. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly just signed a bill into law that will allow people living with serious illness to use low-THC CBD oil. The legislation also affords some protections to parents from having the state remove their children because of medical cannabis use. The new law goes into effect on July 1st. Marijuana Business Daily is a helpful chart of the week up, showing the price per milligram of THC for various non-inhalable marijuana products in the states of California, Colorado, Nevada, and Washington. Those are modalities like infused beverages, edibles, and topicals. Running on the high side of the scale are topicals in Nevada and tinctures and sublinguals in Colorado, which both run 41 cents per milligram of THC, with capsules in Washington state grabbing the low spot at just 13 cents. Pop over for the rest of the numbers as well as more context. Yesterday, the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors voted in favor of a plan to crack down on marijuana businesses operating without license. Offending operators could find their utilities shut off and their buildings locked up under the new program. LA County has struggled to rein in unlicensed shops, and the new plan is being pitched as a way to punish unlicensed operators in a non-criminal manner. Hopping over a border to Nevada, we have a good write-up about efforts in that state to pass a bill creating a cannabis advisory commission to oversee Nevada's legal marijuana program. Assembly Bill 533 would create the commission modeled off their existing Gaming Commission and Gaming Control Board. If you do any kind of business in Nevada, you probably want to be tracking this one. And finally for today, two former executives with multi-state cannabis operator Vireo Health were on the receiving end of a judgment against them yesterday by the Minnesota State Court of Appeals for their role in a scheme to transport cannabis from Minnesota to New York, two states where Vireo Health has operations. The problem, of course, with transporting legal cannabis from state to state is that it's not actually legal, as federal law comes into play, which very much still considers cannabis to be illicit. On Monday, judges with the Minnesota Court of Appeals issued their ruling that Dr. Laura Bultman, former chief medical officer, and Ronald Owens, former chief security officer, can be tried for their role in the alleged crime. There's a lot of legal nuance on this one, so probably not a bad one to dive into. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, send us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at MJTodayDaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Ease, and to all of our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today. Today.
One take, Shay. One take.